So first of all, congratulations on this. Such a fantastic watch, so fun. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
what was it like to create this, especially when you're working with your daughter?
It was incredible. And I got to be honest, like she was the driving force. Like she brought it up. So I want to make a film and we started tossing around ideas. And then we kind of went into old fashioned just like, she'll write a little bit, I'll write a little bit. And it was kind of like, an improv, like they say yes and you just
Mhm.
keep on moving it along. That was the writing process. She'd write 5 pages and I'd come back in and answer that with, say, 4 more pages. And it just built from there. And we really had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. It was also really easy, I think,
Oh, yeah.
because you don't have to reach out to anyone to schedule things. I mean, like your partner's always in your house, so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Scout, your character seems to be the more mature one in this film. Is that purposefully the way things worked, or is it just the way things worked out?
Um,
Might be a little art imitating life.
no, I think the characters were definitely like heightened
Mhm.
sort of caricatures of ourselves. Like we took some of our qualities that we found interesting or entertaining that we thought we could like infuse into our characters. And I think sometimes that dynamic might be a little true, but most of the time, no, I'm not more mature than my
we're,
dad.
we're about equal. Put it
Mhm.
that way.
That's
She she
awesome.
she surpassed me a few years ago in maturity level. So
No.
Going with that, the filming process, what was that like? What was it like to be out there, uh, you know, making sure that each of you got what you guys wanted out of this project?
I think we honestly we had really good communication throughout. We never like if we disagreed on something, we would just sort of say we'd sort of when approaching a shot or a scene, we'd tell each other what we wanted from it. And it was sort of like Dad said, yes anding. It wasn't like this is what I want, this is what you want, let's find a compromise.
Mhm.
It was like, all right, I want this, he also wants this, and you're just sort of layering it on top of each other to make one cohesive thing, you know?
How are the locations chosen for this? Because there's a lot of very beautiful places you guys shot at.
we were very fortunate. Like the main location was up in like a group of cabins in Big
Mhm.
Bear that our producer Colette Freedman, she had a connection and she secured that location for us. So we had like 4 different cabins to kind of shoot on, and they had a lot of property. And we also would just kind of go and just, okay, what's on the agenda today? And we go find the location and shoot there. Or like, oh, this doesn't work, but this will work for another scene. Do you remember your lines? What are we wearing in that scene? And we just do a quick change and do that scene. And then we'd also find sometimes that we like when we didn't have enough of a shot, or we look back in the edit and I'm like, oh, that's not working. So the cool thing is just being the two of us and a very small crew and having our own camera, we would just go out and find a location here in LA, like go up
Mhm.
into the hills and just shoot something. So
Also, I feel like a lot of people underestimate the power of just asking nicely, which I think we did a couple times.
yeah.
Especially, we were wondering for a long time how to secure the diner location, because that would be like sort of hard to get all
Oh
the
yeah.
permits for and get everyone out of there and music and get everything set for a film to be shot
Mhm.
there. But honestly, we were living like down the road from a diner in Big Bear, and one of our camera operators, Riley Dismore, just drove out in the morning and asked them if we could shoot a scene for like an hour in their diner, and they were really nice, and they were just like, sure.
Yeah, they're
And
great. Just gave them a big tip, and we're on our way.
That is so awesome to hear. Your both of your characters are learning a lot about each other throughout the movie. Did you did you each learn a lot about each other throughout the process of making this as well?
Uh,
I think honestly, we knew each other pretty well
Mhm.
because we already have a pretty close dynamic. Um, but I don't know if I learned anything specific about him, but I definitely got closer to him.
yeah.
Like we sort of, don't want to say learned how to read each other's minds, but we learned how to sort of like guess. like what the other one was thinking and what the other one needed in that moment. And I think that helped us a lot
You
on
can,
set and offset.
yeah, we got to the point where we'd be shooting something like, oh, what if we don't have that location, but we do, and then we have the same thought at the same time, and it's almost like rappers just going right off each other's because they're reading each other's minds and picking up on their last word and everything. So it really worked out really well.
So we're basically
We're
rappers.
basically the Beastie Boys. Yep.
That is so awesome to hear. You're now, after all your hard work, gonna have this at Dances with Films, gonna be screening at the TCL Chinese Theater. How does
Oh,
that feel?
It feels really awesome. I mean, I worked at dances a couple summers ago, just on the carpet, and I remember thinking like, wow, this is a beautiful location. I would love to screen a film here. And I was working on Pilgrim at the time, and I was just sort of saying, fingers crossed, we're not gonna hope too hard because
yeah.
that's how we get our hopes dashed. But like it ended up happening, and so when I heard, and especially that it would be at the Chinese, I got really excited.
Yeah. I mean, I growing up in LA, it's like I remember, the Chinese theater, the Egyptian theater, and some of these old theaters, and just to, you know, I love everything old, like old Los Angeles,
Mhm.
and to be in that kind of setting it's pretty cool. It's kind of a dream come true.
As you screen this film and you sit there with the audience, what kind of reactions are you hoping to get, and what will you be looking for as you sit there?
I think for me, it's sort of up to them how they interpret it and how they feel about it. When we've shown it to people in the past, especially people, parents or children, they've sort of they felt they connected to it in a way that was like they could see themselves in Joe or in Tom. And so I'm hoping they could see themselves in either one of our characters or just relate to either of our journeys and hopefully, I don't know, feel
Yeah, no,
seen. Yeah.
I'm kind of in there too. It's like I talk to a lot of dads, I'm like, they're like, "Oh, your movie's coming out. Yeah, I want to check it out." And I go, "You have a daughter, you'll dig it," And I think that I think it'll speak to a lot of people, for one, people who have kids, and I'm hoping that it relates to people, I say kids, but people Scouts age and things like that. But I also hope that like people wanting to make their first film, and everyone has an idea in this town, but they're like, oh, we got to raise money, we got to do this. And I hope that they just kind of get inspired to just, hey, look, they did it with no money, why don't I go do that? And that's a bit, so I'm thinking like we're making this for just regular people, but also for filmmakers too, to get inspired and go do something on their own.
Even though this movie has a very, very satisfying ending to it, is there any hopes of ever getting a sequel or something where we get to see what happens next in the story?
I'll let Dad take this one because this was sort of he gets excited about this.
Well, I don't know if I want to. I don't know how serious. I was very serious about that at one point, wasn't
He,
I? I guess we should tell him
yes.
because we're just like, at one point we were done and it was being edited, and I decided I want to go back up to those cabins and I want to make just a crazy horror sequel to this movie.
Mm,
I don't know how serious I was. I think I was watching a lot of horror films, but if we were to do a sequel, we might do something like that just completely added, just jump genres
mhm.
and keep the same relationship. See, now that I'm saying it, it sounds like a really good idea. So
I think it was born out of that feeling where we were up there for about a week, maybe two, shooting in Big Bear on that location. And I think we just had such a good time, and we were surrounded by people that we really loved and grew even closer to while shooting, that we couldn't help but want to just mimic that. And of course, our immediate idea is let's do something really stupid that's nobody's gonna expect. And so it's like, why not a horror film?
yeah,
And so that's sort of been floating around.
maybe I want to do a horror film.
We'll see.
Maybe.
That sounds pretty cool though. So, thank you very much for your time and congratulations on this because it's such a wonderful project.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jesus, so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.